What you can do here is you can use, for instance, any Kadence block. So say I'm using an advanced button. Say I got an icon list. This is free. I'm using the free version. Say I got a row layout. I'm just throwing stuff on here, right? A progress bar. Boom, boom, boom. Let's open this up so we can get more space, more real estate. And because I have the Grade plugin, I have animation and animation. So this is crazy that Grade extends Kadence's functionality. It integrates with Kadence. That's so dope. So now I'm using the animation from Grade, but I'm also using the blocks from Kadence. You can't tell me that that's not sweet. And it does that in multiple ways. Again, here, add animation right there. That's one way, and then they have advanced right here, more Grade. Now remember, in order for us to get hiding controls, visibility controls for these, we had to be using the Pro version of Kadence blocks. Now with Grade, I know Grade is only the Pro version, but again, I'm using Kadence blocks in tandem with Grade, and I'm getting more functionality out of this. What up, content creators? My name is Maestro Stevens with Iconic Templates. And in this video, I want to answer the question, can you get a suite of tools that 1, fits your needs, 2, is user-friendly, optimized, and accessible, and 3, which is a bonus, is under the same company / brand and has the least amount of plugin extensions or add-ons, as some would call them. With no further ado, let's get right in it. You are seeing side by side Grade Suite and Kadence WP. Now, some of you all who are watching this may have no idea what this is because you're new to WordPress, and that's okay. I was you at one point in time, and it took some time, but now we are here, and I want to help you get here even faster. For those of you who are already aware of WordPress and a suite of tools or ecosystem like Kadence, some of this stuff won't be new. However, I definitely think that I'm going to give you some different thought processes, maybe even some strategies or tactics, ideas, or even perspectives that make you think, maybe he's on to something, or maybe he's not. The main thing I want to start off with these two, we'll say, solutions is that they have very similar overlapping features, or they have very similar overlapping functionalities, or they have very similar overlapping, we'll say, technical directions. However, there is a huge unique value proposition that is different between the two. And just in general, I believe they are focused on two different directions. And that's important because sometimes we combine directions with, we'll say, you know, our vehicle. You know, everybody needs tires to go somewhere, right? But you may be going in a different direction. So vehicles need tires, but you can be going to the left side and the other person be going to the right side. But the thing is, here's the thing.
But wait, there's more.
You actually can use these together. And that's something that I've been looking for a while now, because I needed another third-party tool solution for WordPress that was consolidated and that can work with what I already have. And I believe I have found an answer to that. So that's why I'm excited to share with you guys. That is Grade Suite next to Kadence. Let's start off with just a basic understanding that Grade Suite is a plugin and a theme. Now, it has extensions just like Kadence does, but Grade Suite has a theme and a plugin. Grade Suite is focused on full site editing, and its theme is a block-based theme. So for those of you all who are aware of the whole WordPress going into the direction of full site editing and block-based themes, this ain't nothing new to you. For those of y'all who are not, I just want to let you know that it's just a different way of building out your site using WordPress core, using the core tools of WordPress. It's just another way of building out your site versus what we were doing before when we were using WordPress. I'm even glad that where they are now when it comes to the Gutenberg editor, it's come a lot further than where it was a few years ago. I will say that. And it's the reason why I can't see myself using another tool. I came from tools like Builderall and Squarespace and Symfony, and I'm sure you guys heard of these tools. I've used Wix, and I like the drag and dropness. I don't want to have to do code when I don't have to. So think of Grade Suite when it comes to its theme. It's for full site editing and block-based when it comes to the theme, and also has a plugin that has other features such as blocks. Kadence has a theme as well, and then it also has a plugin that has blocks, things that you build your website with, and those blocks have features with them as well. So both of these platforms have that functionality when it comes to building out your site in the Gutenberg editor, not having to have a third-party page builder like an Elementor or a Beaver builder, other things like that. And I have nothing against those divvies. People have reasons for every season of why they want to use stuff and how they want to use it. But what I'm saying is if you don't want to have to use those tools, you need something that can integrate on a fundamental level with Gutenberg. Then do you want something else that integrates with the full site editing direction that WordPress is going in? That's when you think about the theme that you're using. So with Kadence, it has theme, it has blocks, it has other things, but it has that as well. Kadence is more traditional when it comes to its theme. And that is a big difference between the direction that Grade is going. Is Kadence is sticking with the classic type of theme is what a lot of people call it. It's a traditional theme, but it doesn't mean that it's outdated or it's not modern. It's just the type of themes that have been used for a very long time when it comes to building out a WordPress website and not having to use code. And that is key. That's going to be a big theme. That's going to be a reoccurring theme in today's video is the no code aspect of being able to do all these fancy features, and you're a content creator, a small business owner, a freelancer, and you ain't got time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So you got to think about it like that. We want to be able to do as many fancy things as we can, but at the same time with WordPress, we want to be more efficient because we want to be lean, and we want to think about, as Wayne Gretzky would say, he wanted to go where the puck was headed, not where the puck was at. And I believe if you're going to be a smart WordPress user and start building for the future, which is a big aspect of sustainability and longevity, are you working with tools or tech or your tech stack that is filling the gaps of both the full site editing experience, like you're going full-fledged with it, but at the same time, you ain't going full-fledged. You're kind of dipping your toes in the water, utilizing some benefits, also staying to what is tried and true. That's something you want to think about. And I think that that's where Kadence and Grade get the best of both worlds. Now, for the features, let's go and directly talk about the features because that's what I really wanted to introduce you to, the features, kind of a side-by-side, and then get into some of my strategy of what I'm going to be doing and what we're going to be doing with iconic templates moving forward, because like I said before, I believe this is the answer I've been looking for a while when it comes to building out templates, and it's just the way that Grade does it. The fact that we can combine it with Kadence, it just makes it's crazy. Like I just say, it's crazy. I think it's crazy powerful. I could be just nerding out right now. You about to do some crazy stuff using the two side by side. So let's go to our features over here, and then we'll go to the features of Kadence theme first. On Grade's feature overview page here, it has all of its features, whereas for Kadence, you got to go kind of back and forth between some of their main tools. So that's why I'm saying we're going to start off with Kadence theme. So the first feature we're going to start off with is global styles. Let's scroll down, and then I'm going to scroll past all of this. As you can see here, we have both the word global. With Grade Suite, they have advanced global styles, and since they work with the full site editor experience, you can also get to your normal global styles from the full site editing experience. So that's what's really cool. I'll show you real quick what that looks like. So here we're in a fresh install of WordPress. And I got to give a shout outs real quick because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have as fast of an experience in my WordPress and to be able to whip up and do things like I'm doing right now, demoing you. So you can also see the feature, but we can get down and dirty, get gritty in it and get in WordPress and show you kind of what it looks like. Shout outs to InstaWP. And this is one of my favorite Swiss Army knives of tools. It is invaluable. And for those of y'all who want to give it a try, they have a free version that it's dope. You can use that. And for a lot of people, it will do what you need. But for those who want a little bit more, they have pricing plans. Either way, I'm not sponsored for this. This is just me giving you all a little bit of my juice, what I love to use, and the fact that I've been using InstaWP for a while and they have grown a lot. They're getting better. Shout outs to Vicus and the team. These guys are awesome. So yeah, I definitely would advise checking out InstaWP if you are looking to whip up some staging sites, some demo sites, or you even need some hosting. Their hosting is lightning fast. It's really fast to whip up a demo site, and it's in the browser. You don't have to have it on your local machine. I mean, it's dope. And they even got, you can create templates and build a WordPress as a service. I mean, we'll make another video that's gonna give you all the gems and the jewels and all that good stuff. But I just want to say shout outs to InstaWP because that's what I'm using right now to do these demos for you. On this side here, we have Grade Suite. What I wanted to do was color code both of the experiences so that way you can easily see the difference between when we're using Grade Suite versus when we're using Kadence. So right now, let me show you the plugins. Here we have the Grade plugin. On Kadence's side, I've installed a few plugins from Kadence just so that way I can show you the features without limitations, but I'm also going to turn some of these plugins off as well too, closer to the end so I can show you power of consolidation and necessities. With Kadence, we have Kadence Blocks, Pro, the regular Kadence blocks. You have to use them both in order to get the Pro out of it. You can't just have the Pro and not the free version of Kadence blocks. We have Kadence conversions, and then we have Kadence Pro, and this is for the theme. And on this side here, speaking of the theme, we're gonna go to Appearance. You can see I have Gray themed activated, and over here for Kadence, I have Kadence activated. So I have Gray theme over here, activated, and Kadence activated over here. That way you can actually see that there's a plugin and there's a theme, and just by themselves, I mean, even if you just use one or the other, you're gonna get so much functionalities and features from just using their own, you know, I'll say starter tech stack, right? I would say a starter tech stack for a WordPress user. If you are using WordPress, you definitely want to think about that plugin. That's going to be like your blocks. Help give you some more functionality that the core blocks don't give you with WordPress, and that theme. And sometimes it's better, not always, but sometimes it's better to use both types of tools from the same company. You know, that's what I'll start with, like just like that. I know that could be an argument or a debate, but in my opinion, that's what it is. Let's go back over here and let's go to the global styles. With Grade Suite, I'm gonna go here to the dashboard and I'm going to scroll down, down, down. So you have global styles that are global styles for full site editing. This is just the normal global styles. This is a quick link that'll take you directly there. And then you also have the Grade global styles as well too. And with Kadence global styles, if I go here, for instance, to the theme, you can see global colors, you can see typography, and they have other global styles as well. So if I go to, for instance, the customizer, right now, this is the Grade global styles. So colors and fonts, colors, buttons, typography, this is all global styles. Now, why would this be important to, you know, somebody who is not necessarily a WordPress expert or agency or service provider who sells websites, you know, who's in the website game? When you're creating a website for your business, for your brand, you want to do as much set it as forget it as possible. Now, I'm not saying that that's not important for everybody, but I'm saying especially when you by yourself or you got a small team, you definitely want to do as much set it and forget it. And it's not saying that you're gonna forget it. It's just a term. It's just a term that we use, but set it and forget it. And then you only need to come back to it every now and then, you know, to fix this, change that based on things that are changing in your business, or you're adapting to something in the environment or something that's trending. But for the most part, you're going to want to set things up so that it stays the same about 80% around that of the time. That's where global styles really comes in, while giving you the ability to add that customization flavor that you need when it comes to branding. And Kadence and Grade do it differently, but they both do it. And that's something that I wanted to share with you, because that's what this is: global color palette, global typography, global button settings. And then over here, let's talk about advanced global styles. You have that as well too. Even when it talks about, I believe, the full site editing experience. right here. Design every area of your website flexibility with blocks and global styles. That's very important. So let's just start right there. Next, we're going to talk about responsive design or responsive controls. So here I'm still staying in Kadence theme. Remember, I'm still on the theme page. So here we have responsive design. If I go to Kadence blocks, we can see here responsive control. So on the theme, we have responsive control functionality, and on the blocks, we have responsive control functionality. And it's the same thing with Grade Suite. Now, for those of you all who don't know what responsive controls are or responsive design is, I'm just going to break it down in a very simple way, but I suggest you go and learn about it. And if you want me to make a video about it, I can make a video about it. Just let me know in the comments. In its most simplistic form, I would say that when you think about responsive design or responsive control, that means you need the ability to be able to create your website in a way where it looks good on desktop, tablet, and mobile. And you need to be able to do it with a no-code experience and a click of a button where you have control over your desktop, your mobile, and your tablet, or tablet and your mobile. That is responsive controls and design for the most part, because there are a lot of people that are viewing, and I'll say even most people that are having multi-device experiences where they may start on one device looking at a website and they end up on another device looking at the same website. And if that experience doesn't feel cohesive and doesn't have continuity to it and doesn't feel intentional, doesn't seem to be intentional, you may aggravate or you may end up turning off some of those users on your website because it wasn't the same experience that they got when they were viewing your website on another device. And that's very important for us to think about, especially in 2024, which is the year that I'm making this video, and beyond. We got to think about it that way. Both Kadence and Grade are thinking about responsiveness, and that's something that I definitely have to give kudos to companies that are learning from the responsive creation standpoint or responsive development to make it easier for us users who don't want to know code and we want things to be easy and seamless. Kadence and Grade have that. So for Grade, for example, I'm going to go back to, we'll just say add new page here. And then for Kadence, I'll stay in the theme here because this is a way you can do it, but you can do it in Grade in full site editing. I just didn't want to do all that right now. But an example would be if I was in the header area here and we have tablet and mobile. This is responsive controls right here. I am literally editing for a different device. That is dope. Awesome. Then, for instance, if I go back and then go to a page, and let's say add new page here as well. So now we have blank pages on both sides. We have Grade over here, Kadence over here. So as an example, I'm going to add a pattern, and we'll get into that too, but I'm just doing this to make it easy. All right, close this, and let's just click on anything here. Open this up. Matter of fact, let me do this. Open up the list. So that way we're on the main, we'll say the top of the hierarchy of this block, because there's blocks within blocks within blocks. Yeah, that's how WordPress is.
There are lots of blocks in Minecraft, and lots of the blocks have lots of different uses, and some of those uses are more secret than others. Today I thought I would explore that. I opened up my inventory and just started looking through, thinking of all the weird ways in which you can use some of these blocks.
If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go to this top one, and that way we're able to see more of the information here. We're in advanced, we have some controls right here to be able to see. If we were, for instance, in spaces here, see, you can click and get responsive. This is a great way you're able to build out your page without having to know code in a responsive designing or controlling way. This is great. So now I'm in tablet mode, mobile and desktop. Now, here's the thing. Some people will look at this if they were using WordPress core, and when they click on this mobile, they start to build out their page. They wonder why it don't look right, like it affects the desktop. And that's something that I've seen often. I've seen that happen a lot. That really gets on my nerves. So that's why you need more functionality within your responsive design building activities that doesn't come just out the box with the WordPress core, as far as I know. But if somebody else has another perspective, or maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's something that I'm overlooking because there's just so much to WordPress anyway. I think that that's something to not to overlook, to look at closely. So let's go here, for example. Patterns. Again, now the reason why you saw grade patterns is because I'm using the grade theme, and themes have their own patterns as templates. So for Kadence, let's use the design library, because this is where you're gonna find Kadence's templates right here. So I'm going to just select a random template just so we can see. And then I'm gonna click the list view. Okay, it's on the row. If I wanted to open it up, we see we have a section, and we have other blocks, a paragraph block, and an icon. So you can see this design here, this pattern, was created with multiple blocks, the same way it is over here in Grade Suite. And I think it is kind of sweet.
How'd you get to be so sweet? How'd you get to be so sweet?
Asked you very nicely.
Won't you tell me very kindly? How'd you get to be so sweet?
That both Kadence and Grade Suite are using the same name when it comes to templates. But we can see we have our patterns here that come from Grade, which are templates right here. And then Kadence has a design library right here, and these are also templates, and they call them patterns. So at least those things are in sync as far as the terminology is concerned. With Kadence, let's open this up here. And again, just like over here, we can easily go to a tablet view and a mobile view. However, is what you're editing here going to stay this way, right? Versus it change when you go back to desktop, because there's a difference between viewing and actually creating for the view. Those are two different things. And the thing is, because WordPress is also responsive out the box, it automatically wants to create some type of look format with your content, with your pages out the box without you having to have another third-party tool. And that's great. We want that. However, it's not enough. And that could be a maker or a breaker of the experience of your users if you don't think about that, because sometimes it's not enough. So that's why be careful with this. Some people just do this and they think that this is editing specifically for that viewpoint, right? And it's not. They think it's editing specifically for the device, and it's not. So for instance, with Kadence, why Kadence is so powerful is because you see, even though, yes, it's changing. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to this, because of Kadence, you're not just viewing it. It's so smart that the settings that you have, it's going to stick to that. And that's not true for all WordPress core blocks. The reason why this is happening is because I'm using Kadence blocks. If I was using core blocks, again, just because you edit on these different features here, right, doesn't mean it's going to stay that way for that particular viewpoint or for that particular device. So you just got to keep that in mind and think about that. It's very important. You find that right here in layout, and then you can also find that in the style here for background. And then for advanced, I could have different margins and paddings for different viewpoints. And I keep saying viewpoints because I'm just saying it because it's how you view things, and because Grade has breakpoints. So which I believe Kadence is getting, or they have it, or they're getting it. It's on the roadmap, but that's a big thing too. So we got to think about that. Again, structure settings, and then being able to hide. Now this is something that is huge too. And I believe I just showed you that here in Grade here for hide. So you see we have hide. This is very important. This is also, I would say, an extension, a part of responsive design, a part of responsive controls. Sometimes you just need to hide something totally on a certain device because it just doesn't fit well. You don't need to edit it or fix it. You just need to let it go. That's something that I know a lot of us need to be doing in our lives when it comes to the past. Sometimes we need to just let it go.
Stop trying to control everything and just let go. Let go!
All right, fine.
Fine. But when it comes to building our websites, you got to think about the same thing. You got to just let it go. And that's where hiding on the mobile version, right? Hiding on the tablet version, hiding on the desktop version. And we can see that we have the laptop and then we have a desktop when it comes to grade. So these are things that responsive design, we need to think about when it comes to how we build out our websites. And both tools have the functionality. They do it differently, but they have that functionality. All right, so now let's talk about speed. Speed and loading. All right. Let's go back here. And just right off the bat, we have this SEO optimized. It's built with the best SEO practices for markup and schema when needed. CSS preloading. That's also a part of speed optimization and loading. And then we'll go to the Kadence blocks and we see intelligent load. For Grade Suite, we have page speed and we have lazy load. Those are important factors to think about when it comes to your tech stack, your fundamental tech stack for building out your website and styling your website. Does it have those? Because everything else you put on top of that is going to bog your site down. It's going to add more bloat. You have to ask yourself, do you need more things? Is it a necessity? Is it important? Sometimes it's not. But at the base level, when it comes to your hosting, and I just told you as an example, InstaWP has Insta Live. They have hosting. We use Kinsta and SiteGround. There are many other hosts, but at the base level, does your hosting have the tech that it needs to be fast? And then when you toss on top of the hosting, WordPress, and then your theme, and then that first block plugin that you're gonna use before you add anything else, that's the fundamental piece right there. And are they optimized for speed and for loading and even for SEO? So you got to think about that. That's a huge deal. On top of accessibility, because I asked the question before, is the tool going to be user friendly? Can it be user friendly? Can it be optimized? Can it be accessible? I'm going to be showing you the user friendliness over time as we go through this overview. But when it comes to speed and accessibility and loading and SEO, we have accessibility right here. Grade Suite is super accessible. And I would give a big shout outs to Anne for that because she's the one who really helped them when it came to this right here, right? This initiative to make sure that they were accessible. They definitely hired a professional. And shout outs to Anne. I'll put her website and link her in the description if you need some type of help with your accessibility. So for Kadence, we see here that we have performance and accessibility. They are doing it in different ways. Shout outs to both teams, both squads, but I want you to see that accessibility is huge. And if you're not putting that at the forefront of your website, of your platform, of your user experiences, and you're doing that after you already built the site, I think that you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if you're not using tools that are thinking about that themselves. So I want you to see that this is very important. Is the tool high performing? Is it user friendly? And is it accessible? And we can see on both ends, Grade is answering that and Kadence is too. When it comes to collecting information, that is very important as a content creator, as a small business owner, as a freelancer, as a creator in general, and you are a website manager, you have a website, you need to be able to collect information because it's one thing if you're getting visitors, site visitors. It's another thing when you're getting leads and interested parties. Just because somebody visits your site doesn't mean they're interested because they can leave immediately or they can leave later. So forms is a very important feature that you want to have when you're thinking about building out your website in a very highly functional way, and you're thinking about conversions and you're thinking about information collection. Forms is huge. And so with Grade Suite, they have a dedicated plugin just for forms. It's an extension. If I go back here, we can see, if I go to my dashboard here, I'm gonna scroll past this other stuff and we see it says install plugin. When it comes to Kadence, they have a block dedicated to forms and we have advanced form. They even have a basic form. So let me show you what that looks like. We're gonna install this plugin here. And with Kadence, we're going to stay here. We don't have to leave. I'm going to give us a clean canvas. Then I'm going to show you we have form here, and then we have form advanced or advanced form. These are two different blocks. They do the same thing as far as collect information, except the form advanced or the advanced form has more functionalities and features from it. And that's key that I want you to see is that when it comes to creating a form, Kadence does it from a block, whereas Grade does it from a plugin. And then right here, we have forms, we have create, and now I can create my form right here. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, but there are two different ways to do forms. Right here, I would hit create new, and then I would select my template or starting template right here, for example. And then I would select my style. So if I want it dark, create, now I have my form, I have my options. I can see right here what's inside the form. And if I wanted to add more fields, I can add more fields, change fields up, click this. See, this is how you build your form in Kadence with the advanced form block. And I love this advanced form block. This actually, for a lot of people, if you're dedicated to only using one brand and one suite, and you're dedicated, for example, to Kadence, this is all you really need unless you need more functionality from a third-party form builder, like a Fluent Forms, a Contact Form 7, things like that, right? Here, you have so much capability. And what I like about this is you can use the blocks from WordPress right in here as well, too, to build out your form. That's pretty awesome. Now, with Grade Suite, I would say because they're both using Gutenberg, so with Kadence, it's using Gutenberg. We're in the Gutenberg editor right here. We are not in some other interface because I hate that sometimes when it comes to form builders. We're in the Gutenberg editor. And then with Grade Suite, we're also in the Gutenberg editor right here, or the WordPress editor. I keep saying Gutenberg editor. We're in Gutenberg or the WordPress editor. And I have the plus button here. So as you can see, I can still use the other blocks from Grade or from Core Blocks, but I have special blocks dedicated for my form. Boom, 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 boom. That's something that I like about both tools is that I'm in Gutenberg and it's extending Gutenberg to build out a form. Some people love that. Some people hate that. See, I'm with it. You choose what you think is best for you. However, I wanted you to see that one, Grade is using a plugin and Kadence is using the core plugin, Kadence Blocks, right? But it's using a block to build out the form itself. However, either way, you must think about your forms. You gotta have forms on your website and you have to make them in a easy, user-friendly way so you can update them later. You may wanna pass it off to somebody else to update them. At the same time, you wanna make sure that your form builder is staying up to date too with WordPress in general. And this is a great way to know that because they're both using the Gutenberg editor. So most likely both companies are going to be striving to stay up to date with the WordPress editor, with WordPress in general, and not do their own thing inside of WordPress, right? When you're in another interface. So that's just how I look at it. But forms is key, and these guys have formed a great way to be able to do their thing. For another great functionality that you need to have on your website as a creator and as a gatherer information is going to be pop-ups. And you want to combine. See, what I like to do is I like to layer on top of things. You know what I'm saying? You want to layer on top of that cake. You ever had that cake that's just be flat? And you're like, man, we just had a couple more layers with that icing on top. We be all right.
Smells chocolatey, eh? Now, eat it. Huh? Cookie. Sweat and blood went into this cake, and you will not leave this platform until you have consumed the entire confection.
We don't want nothing just flat. We want to get layered. And when you layer forms with the next tactic that should be used on your website, if you are looking to not only collect information, but you're looking to do effective marketing, you gotta have some type of pop-up, right? Because pop-ups help break the pattern. It's called pattern interruption. You ever been on a website where you were doing something and out of nowhere, a pop-up pops up? Now, yes, I know there are some of you out there right now that annoys. However, it works, whether you like it or not. You just have to do it responsibly, do it strategically, do it smart. And Grade has pop-ups. And Grade pop-ups, when you use this with the popovers functionality, such as the functionality right here, this is where you get the most functionality when it comes to the pop-ups. But I'm just letting you know that popovers, they have from inline pop-ups, drop down to burger menu canvas. I guess this is one of their terminology when it comes to some specific functionality from the pop-up. And then you actually have the pop-up itself right here. That's the core part right here, Grade pop-ups. With Kadence, it's called Kadence conversions. So even Kadence is using some other type of branded term that is not the standard, I would say, that we would normally use, but it is exactly the name for the functionality that we need, which is pop-ups. You definitely want to think about using them intentionally and respectively, and using them with forms. You would put a form on a pop-up, right? And that pop-up pops up, or it comes out the left side, or sometimes it doesn't pop up, sometimes it slides in, sometimes it fades in. There's a lot of things you can do with pop-ups. And at the same time, when does the pop-up pop up? Where does the pop-up pop up? That's what a good pop-up does when it comes to pop-ups. With Kadence, you have Kadence conversions right here. And this is how you create pop-ups on WordPress using Kadence. So we have pop-ups right here. Again, pop-ups could be banners, slide-ins. See how if you didn't know better, you probably wouldn't understand that you could do other things. It's not just pop-up, but that's just the starting term of it, right? But that's why Kadence calls it Kadence conversions, because it's focused on pop-ups, but you can also do slide-ins and banners. With Grade, I'm gonna go back here and we're gonna go to the Grade, well, right here, and we see pop-ups. Boom. If I want to create a new pop-up, I create that right here. We have the classic, again, slide in, full screen pop-up, an announcement. They call it a banner, a sidebar. That's kind of cool. I like that. On both ends, that they give you a starting point. It's not just a pop-up. You can do other things. But with Kadence, you have to think, you need to use Kadence conversions. You have to use a separate plugin. So if I go back here, I leave here, I'm going to go to plugins, install plugins. And that's why I told you I had to install a couple plugins to give you some of the functionality that I was going to give you today, because I wasn't going to get pop-ups without having the Kadence conversions plugin. And then with Grade, you can see if I go here, I go to plugins, install plugins. The Grade forms was for the form. It wasn't for the pop-ups. So the Grade pop-up functionality is baked within the Grade plugin. You got to think about that. So these are things that I want you to think about when it comes to how you are going to build out your WordPress website, specifically when it comes to consolidation, efficiency, and being lean. Because we know that both platforms are speed focused. You know, they are accessibility focused. They got these things in mind, but they also have other unique value propositions and differences in other areas. Pop-ups, either way, is something that you definitely need when it comes to building out your website. And you want to combine pop-ups with forms. You want to combine pop-ups with your forms. Next, let's talk about dynamic things. So first, we're going to start off with dynamic templates and hooked elements. For Grade Suite, they call this dynamic feature that I'm talking about dynamic templates. In Kadence, they call this dynamic feature that I'm talking about hooked elements. It's the same thing on both sides. They just do it differently, and they're calling it a different name. And the whole purpose of having a dynamic template or a hooked element is so you can create templates. I'm going to use the word templates now. You can create templates on your website that are blocks. It could be one block. It could be multiple blocks. Most likely it's a section. And that template you can use over and over and over again in other places on your website. That's the most simplistic way, in my opinion, of saying what dynamic templates are or what hooked elements are, is to be able to create section-based templates and show them on different areas on your website. And like Kadence is saying, You can display them based on location, targeted placement. You can even add them to other areas of WordPress that you typically would need code for to be able to access. You can have expiration date. You can show them to specific users. That's beautiful when it comes to these two platforms, is they have the same thing. They call them something different. And hooked elements for Kadence comes in the Kadence Pro theme plugin. Gotta think about that. So it actually comes in this plugin right here. So if I go here and I go to Kadence and then I turn on hooked elements, you got to turn this on. So this is an add-on that doesn't add on another plugin, but it is within another plugin that's an add-on for your theme. Interesting way of saying that. If I refresh this, now I can see it says elements. And this is where I would create these template sections. And for dynamic templates here, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And we can see it says create a template. And this is where I would create my templates, right? My reusable templates. And I'm going to go back to that word here in a second. My reusable templates, I can create those templates right here. New template. So add new, boom. It's the same thing. Now, what I like about Grade Suite is, and this is something that's really, really cool, pretty much all their features, you have the ability to import and export. And I think that that's pretty sweet. So it's just something to think about. It's a bonus for me, hopefully maybe for you, but I think it's pretty sweet that you can import and export a lot of things. When it comes to WordPress core, the way to think about this, and in the same category, right, or hemisphere, a term that was formerly known as reusable blocks, now it's being called synced patterns. What do I mean by that? Right here, I'm on WordPress.org documentation, and we can see it says synced patterns, reusable blocks. Sync pattern is a type of block pattern that enabled sync options. Now, this is something that I want to create more videos for and get deeper in, because we want to think how we want to use sync patterns versus how we want to use hook elements versus how we want to use dynamic templates. You can say, okay, is it doing the same thing? Is it overlapping? Is it getting cumbersome? Maybe I'd rather use this, do my template type of things this way versus that way. You have options, but I wanted to show you that the core functionality of creating templates in WordPress is now what they call synced patterns, right? And some people still use the term reusable blocks, but it says it right here, WordPress 6.3 renamed reusable blocks to patterns. And then a synced pattern is when you make a pattern and that one pattern is connected. So when you put that pattern on another page, any changes that you make on that new pattern is going to sync into everything else. And you can turn that off if you just want to use the template and then you want to do an edit, but you don't want that edit to affect your template. So if you have a sync pattern, you're saying that future edits that I do on this template, I want those edits to affect that template.
English, Doc.
Here. Imagine that this line represents time. Prior to this point in time, somewhere in the past, the timeline skewed into this tangent, creating an alternate 1985.
Holy shit.
You see, while we were in the future, Biff got the sports book, stole the time machine, went back in time, and gave the book to himself at some point in the past.
The whole thing is my fault. If I hadn't bought that damn book, none of this would have ever happened.
Well, that's all in the past.
You mean the future?
Whatever.
That's a sync pattern based on what I've learned, okay? So just think about that. That's sync patterns, and that's baked into WordPress natively, whereas with Kadence, you have to have Kadence Elements, which is a pro add-on of Kadence theme. And with Grade Suite, you just have to have the normal Grade plugin, but you turn it on this feature right here. So with Kadence, it's the same thing. I turned this on as I showed you. You see, it's a toggle. Boom. This is a toggle right here. Except for this is in the one Grade Suite plugin, whereas Kadence is a pro add-on on top of the Kadence theme. So if you're not using the Kadence theme, the free version, you can't get access to this. You have to have them both. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's definitely worth it if that's the way you want to go, because this is what we've been doing, and it has been more than a great functionality, great feature to have, because it saves so much time. That's the key thing, is save so much time. Like global styles, set something up, and then you can decide to change it or not decide to change it, boom. But you also got to think too, this was made before WordPress got deeper into its reusable blocks, aka patterns and sync patterns. It just made these new changes, and so I'm interested to see where does WordPress go and how it competes with the hook elements with dynamic templates, or are these always going to be needed and we should only be using reusable blocks if you are all the way in full site editing and you don't have a plugin like a Grade Suite, or you don't have a theme like a Kadence theme, and you can't get these access to this anyway. So you got to think about that. Dynamic templates / hook elements. So now let's talk about dynamic content, because that's another term that has the word dynamic in it. So here you can see dynamic content right here. And on Kadence, you see dynamic content. Dynamic content for Kadence is a Pro block feature, or Kadence Blocks Pro feature. And for Grade Suite, it's directly within the core plugin, right? The Grade core plugin, it's within that plugin, dynamic content. With dynamic content, this is not something that I'm going to show just right now because I got to do more prepping to really make it make sense. But for the most part, you got to think about dynamic content is about pulling data based on conditions. It's not the same thing as dynamic templates or hooked elements where you're creating these templates and then you're showing them in other places. Even though, yes, you're showing them other places and it could be based on conditions and parameters as well. But dynamic content is a little deeper than that. And it makes your site really dynamic because what's being displayed at the time can vary and change. So you can create a template and then what's being displayed can vary and change based on information. Say you have custom fields or you have a form that has been collecting data, and it can show information based on what that custom field has in it, based on what that form has had in it that was sent through. That is where I find dynamic content to be very, very useful. And then with Grade Suite, they mention using dynamic content here. With forms, you can show content depending on the time of day and other ways as well too. Show content based on information that was given to you. Kadence is doing the same thing. They're just doing it in different ways right here. But that's why I wanted to show you that this is a pro feature. You do not get this out of the Kadence free if you want to show dynamic content. And I already kind of gave an example. The best way to really use dynamic content is when you have custom fields. That is one of the best ways. That's when it really gets deep. If you're not using custom post types and custom fields, dynamic content only gonna get you so far. So I would say you wanna have that when it comes to creating a robust website that is dynamic. That's why it's dynamic content, and it saves you time. You don't have to go in and update and change the website when you have new information. No, it'll automatically use the styling that you already have set up, but just change the content. That is a time saver. That's dynamic content. And I think it's something that is very, very much overlooked when people don't think about being able to save themselves time, but they know that they have to keep their website fresh, up to date. It has to stay hip. You don't have any type of dynamic content functionality, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to save a lot of time and save money or make more money based on things changing. I think that Google loves fresh content, dynamic content. That answers that right there. It's that simple. So you can see both have the functionality. But like I said, I didn't want to go through and create all these custom fields and do all this extra stuff to show what it looks like. I just wanted to let you know that they have dynamic content. Let's get into animations, since I know that we all want some type of fanciness to our websites, but we have to be careful with the fanciness with our websites, using too much, but we want them. And when I think about tools like Divi and Elementor that are third-party page builders, you're not truly going to replace those by using Gutenberg, because Elementor and Divi, that's what they were made for. They were made to create a different experience when you are building out your pages, but also give you a lot of fancy functionality. Now that comes with its set of pros and cons, but it's just something that I believe when people are using Elementor, they're typically using it for its user friendliness to build out a page, but really because you're able to do a lot of fancy stuff, again, without any code. And animations and animating things and all that is a part of it. So with Grade Suite and Kadence, they both have the animations functionality. They just do it differently, and they have different ways you're able to animate. So with Grade Suite, here you can see on the left side, we have Grade animation, and on the right side, we have Kadence. Grade animations you see here, This is what they look like. You have options right here. And then with Kadence, they has animate on scroll. And then you have these options. So that is a big difference, I would also say, when it comes to animations between Grade Suite and Kadence, is you can see right now it directly says animate on scroll. That's animations for Kadence. And then for Grade, you have a little bit more functionality, like the action that you want to take right here, as well as the effect and even the trigger. And you can do animate on scroll, but as you can see, you have way more opportunities to do fancier or creative things when it comes to your animations, when it comes to Grade Suite. So it's just something for you to think about, because I know that when I saw this, I was like, oh man, this is what I wish Kadence had when it comes to animations. And I believe they'll get there if they're not already almost there. But I was a big fan of seeing this because animations, doing it from coding and CSS and all that stuff, man, no, you don't want to do that. If you can get that within a plugin and you don't have to use Elementor or a Divi to do so, I think if that's not one reason to maybe make the switch if you're using those tools, amongst many others, you know, this to me is a compelling argument right here. So as you can see, both do animations. Now let's talk about the template library and the design library. And I've already alluded to this a little bit before, but we're going to get to it and stick on it. But we're going to talk about it more in depth. When it comes to Grade Suite, we have block patterns. That is the terminology when it comes to WordPress that WordPress uses. They call them patterns. And you get patterns from the Grade theme right here that you'll see right here. This is one way for you to get templates. Now, Grade has other templates, but I believe it says that if you're using the classic, they have another theme. If you're using that theme, that's what their templates are for. But this new block-based theme, this full-site editing theme, this is where you're going to find their templates right here in patterns. And this is native where you would find the other WordPress templates as well. If I was using another WordPress block-based theme, you would find their templates right here and call it patterns. Boom, boom, boom. And if I click explore all patterns, it opens up this interface here where I can see the patterns. With Kadence, they call theirs design library as far as the interface, but then the templates, they still call them patterns. So that's good that there is continuity in the terminology there, because I know it can get confusing for a lot of people. Now, these patterns use Kadence blocks for the most part, and I believe Grade Suite uses Grade's blocks, but it also uses core blocks as well too, right? They're taking advantage fully of the full site editor, but they're the same thing. They're just templates. Now, don't get these confused with reusable patterns or synced patterns. That's where things get a little tricky. So for example, if I click this right here, I'm going to click this pattern. I'm going to click on my list here and then click here. I can see create pattern. So I'm using the Grade pattern that came with the theme, and then I'm creating a pattern right here, core of WordPress. And then I can decide, do I want to make this a synced pattern or not? So basically, I'm taking a template and creating a template. I'm taking the basis of something else. I'm tweaking it up, because I would say you would want to tweak it up. You don't want to just be using patterns as they are, templates as they are. You want to customize the template, because these templates are customizable. Then you name it something else, maybe give it a category, put it in a category, and then say whether or not you want it to be synced or not. If it's not synced, you're just using the template as it is as the starting base when you use it again. If it is synced, every time you edit another page with this template, or every time you edit this template anywhere, it's going to edit everywhere. It's kind of like global. You gotta think of it like that way. If I were you, I would think of it like that way, like global styles. It's a global edit. Not global edit, global edit. Not global edit, global edit. That's just the way I'm thinking of it. And you can do the same thing with Kadence. So if I clicked one of these patterns here, I go here, I'm on the row. So if I go here, create pattern. So it doesn't matter whether you're using the Kadence theme or not, whether you're using the Grade theme or not. When it comes to this functionality, this is core WordPress of being able to create a pattern. This is core WordPress here. See, I'm using two different themes, two different core block plugins, but yet I can still create templates from these other solutions and platforms that I'm using and decide whether or not I want to sync them or not. So hopefully that makes sense. But that's why it's like you're getting the best of both worlds. Going back to that layers, we're layering on top of something. We're using a starting point of pre-made templates, then we're customizing it and making our own pre-made templates. When it comes to the last part, I want to talk about Lottie. So Kadence, and I want to go back into the animations because a lot of people be sleeping on this. This is a bonus right here. Here we have a block here called Lottie Animations. I'm gonna open this up and we can see we have some functionality here. I love that. With Grade Suite, when it comes to Lottie Animations, and I'll show you real quick what that means. We have include Lottie normally, delay loading of Lottie, and then disable Lottie. Lottie files are basically, and they call them SVG animations on the web, but you can also call them souped up GIFs, highly efficient and very versatile GIF files. And they were actually made, a lot of people don't know this. I didn't even know this. Lottie was created by Airbnb, right? And they even had themselves right here at the end. You know how companies be doing that? They be trying to hide themselves at the end, but first show off. Yep. And basically, you see a GIF file is 128 kilobytes. Lottie JSON is 31 kilobytes. 10 times faster, 5 times page load speed, 45% increase in user engagement, 6 times smaller than a GIF. And then they even have a dot Lottie. All this is about is having animations on your website. Again, more fanciness for you without having the bloat of a third-party page builder. And you have animations that you can control. And it's better than having GIF because GIFs bog down your website. Pictures, videos, and GIFs are the probably number 3 media items that create slow websites. Pictures, videos, and GIFs. So if you can replace your GIFs with Lotties, you done saved a lot of time and effort by doing so in a way where now you have a fast website and you got some fanciness to it. You own your Swiss Beats and Drake. Well, I don't know if I should be saying Drake right now because he's in some heat. But you own some Swiss Beats. You fancy, huh?
Oh, you fancy, huh? Oh, you fancy, huh? Oh, you fancy, huh? Oh, you fancy, huh? Nail done, hair done, everything did. Nails done, hair done, everything did.
But that's what you want to do when you want to think about animations or animating things on your website. Is it worth it to use a GIF or can I use a Lottie? And what's dope about Lottie is they have a platform, they have a free version, a paid version. You can use free animations. You would come here, go to an animation, you can download it. So with Grade Suite, they're saying you have to import the Lottie. With Kadence, they're saying you can import it, but you can also use a URL. And that URL will be found here. So that's how both tools handle Lottie. One is you have to import the Lottie, and 2, so if you click here, see how it takes you to Lottie. And Kadence, you are using it as a block. All right, now let's talk about the one thing I know you all have been wondering if you already don't know the answer to this question, and what is it gonna be worth your time? Yes, I'm talking about pricing, but I'm also talking about pricing versus costs because they're not the same thing. So for Grade Suite, we have a different type of pricing structure. Now, this is the thing between these two tools. They have 2 different pricing structures, and that's why for a lot of people, I'm sure it can be confusing. For some people, it can be frustrating, and for others, they couldn't care less. But I want to break this down the way that my brain has been wrapping around this. This whole video has really been focused on content creators, individuals or small businesses, people who have small teams, people who are not necessarily service providers, they're not agencies. Yes, you can take a lot of the information that I shared in this video and apply it if you are a service provider, you're providing websites as a service. You can take a lot of this information, but for this part, I really want to focus on those who just need to build a website for their business or their side business, not necessarily people who are building websites for others. I'm just going to be transparent and be real with things on both sides. For Grade Suite, you have the ability to have free unlimited testing, whereas with Kadence, they have free commercial usage. You actually have a Kadence theme that's free and a Kadence blocks that's free. Grade Suite does not have the ability for you to be able to use its tools for free on a commercial base. Meaning, if you are using Grade Suite and you look on the front end of the website, so that's why I purposely kept it this way and I didn't put the license on this, is because you will see a banner here built with Grade Suite. No matter what page you go to, you're gonna see this little banner or this notification here built with Grade Suite. But you can definitely use the tool to its entirety of functionality, use everything, except you're gonna see this. So if you're okay with being a walking, talking billboard for Grade Suite, by all means, use the free version. If not, you're gonna have to pay something. And what you don't pay, you will pay for later. So you got to think about it that way. So when it comes to Grade Suite, it's in euros right now. I know a lot of people watching this are probably using US dollar. So let's do a little bit of that, something real quick. So 99 euro to USD is $107. Grade Suite right now says basic for 99 euro or $107 USD. This is the pricing plan that I am comparing when it comes to Kadence. I'm not comparing the freelancer plan, the corporate plan, or agency plan. No, I am focused on those who need a website built and they want to do it in a very consolidated way without having to have a whole bunch of other plugins. When you look at it from that lens and that perspective, I'm sure there are those who are out there that can see, quote unquote, the deal, or that can see the investment being worth it. This is what I mean by that, because this is $107 for 1 year. And as I showed you with that, you're only going to be having a few plugins on your website. Grade plugin, grade forms, and there may be one or other two, maybe. But for the most part, most of the functionality that quote unquote Kadence has in its suite, you can get that within the grade plugin by itself, right there. And no, you do not have to use the grade theme. You can use a whole different theme and still get the functionality from the grade plugin and grade forms that you wouldn't get from any other tools. For Kadence, what I'm focused on their side is their essential bundle. I'm not talking about the full bundle. That is more for agencies and more for people who are service providers. For small business owners, for content creators, we're looking at the actual essential bundle. So again, when we're comparing the two, we're comparing Grade Suite's basic right here with Kadence Essential Bundle. Because with the Essential Bundle, you get Kadence Theme, Kadence Blocks, Theme Pro, Blocks Pro, and custom fonts. I don't think most people who are content creators, and especially if you haven't done your own branding, but that's another video for another day, another topic, you're not thinking about custom fonts. So this is not even going to be applicable to you. Where you will miss out on is the conversions. And remember, I showed that was directly baked within the Grade plugin, and it was called Popups, which is, well, let's go here, boom, Popups. That's within the Grade plugin. That's not Grade Forms, that's the Grade plugin, the core plugin. Whereas Popups for Kadence, you have to get the full bundle or you have to buy it separately. And separately, if you wanted to buy it a la carte, it is $89 at the current time of this video. They do deals, discounts as well, but I'm just saying what it is standard at the current time of this video, no discount. It's about 90 bucks. So you gotta think about that. And you want that when you have your form. You wanna combine pop-ups with your forms. That is a powerful marketing tactic that I would say every serious business needs to have. It is not an excuse anymore not to have that kind of functionality on your website if you are saying, I want to maximize my website as a marketing asset and a marketing tool. If you ain't saying that, well, you don't need pop-ups or conversions. But if you are saying that, you need pop-ups and conversions, Kadence conversions, you need pop-ups, and you need to combine that with forms. So you got to think about that, okay? Now, I know somebody out there right now cussing me out. I know, I can feel it. I can feel it in the air. Somebody's cussing me out right now. Talk about, no, well, you can't do this, do that.
Well, this is a charming, rough neighborhood, isn't it? Lois, I'm going to start a screaming match with that black gentleman down on the sidewalk. Hey, get away from my steps, motherfucker! Hey, f your mama! F your mama, asshole! F you back! Oh, well, that was fun.
I'm just giving you my anecdotal experience and thought process while giving you a little bit of logic behind it. And then you can make your own decision. Now, when it comes to Grade Basic versus Essential, features-wise, we can see that with the Basic, you get the forms, you get the hub, you get pop-ups, you get the dynamic templates, advanced search, dynamic content, and even post types. And that's something that we didn't really talk about. That's because Kadence doesn't have post types or taxonomies, not within its plugins. You would have to use something like an ACF. So this is also replacing one of the most popular custom post type. And I'm not saying it's replacing it equally. I'm just saying you may not need that if you are using Grade Suite because it has it directly within the core plugin. So I turned this post types right here. It didn't tell me to install another plugin. I love that. So each one of these features right here is not telling me to install another plugin. It's just saying, do you want to turn it on? It's a modular experience. You can turn it on, you can turn it off, but you're not adding another plugin. The only plugins that you are adding, if you go to the dashboard, was one, the form, but it also will tell you to install. As I'm scrolling down, I don't see many install, except for global content right here. Install plugins, synchronize content on any number of websites. Now, this has nothing to do with being a solopreneur or content creator. This is when you are managing other sites. But this is a handy feature if you did want that. But again, you can't do that on the basic plan right here. That's an X. So that's not something that we're even thinking about when it comes to the basic plan. What else do we have? To the activate feature. That activate feature. Activate feature. Grade Suite is definitely looking to consolidate a lot of features inside their core plugin. That's not Kadence's direction. That's not what they're doing right now. And it's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just telling you it is what it is. That's not what Kadence does. And I can tell you, as much as I love Kadence, there has been times where I've had to sacrifice certain things that I wanted because it was just adding another plugin from Kadence to the website that I wish was one of the core plugins, either the theme or the blocks. And that has slowed down the website. We've had to do more optimization in order to do that, let alone management. We have to manage those plugins, right? Updates and upkeep. That's a lot. I don't want to always be doing that. So that's why my strategy is using the best of Grade with the best of Kadence, because they can be used together. That's the best part about this whole video, is that Grade and Kadence can be used together. It's not a one or the other. However, with Grade, you do have to pay for it. Yes, I know there's people out there that don't have that extra dollar. They don't have $100. And I understand. Trust me, the times that we're in, I get it. But I believe if you are looking to really invest in your business, especially your website, and you only have $100 and you're a solopreneur, you are a business owner, you're a content creator, you want to use full site editing to a degree, but based on you using the WordPress editor, based on using Gutenberg, but you may not want to use all the full site editing styling type of direction, or maybe you do. Grade Suite is the great answer to that, because you can have a I do and I don't, and you're still all right. And you still don't have a whole bunch of plugins. With Kadence, you still are using the functionalities, the speed, all that stuff of Kadence, but at the same time, you do have to think about having to add all these other plugins, and these are plugins right here. If you want the full functionality, you got to keep adding plugins. Maybe one day they'll consolidate things more, but that's not what it is today. And that's not a knock on Kadence. That's just, it is what it is. So you got to think about that. Just to reiterate, we're comparing the basic plan, the essential bundle, and we're talking about content creators, small business owners, people or small teams building websites for themselves, not others. And we're not talking about service providers or agencies. That's a different conversation, and that's a different value proposition that I'm gonna save for another time, because that's where things I believe can get real heated. When you talk about the value of Grade Suite and Kadence, because as you can see, Grade Suite has per month, not per year, which this should say per year or annual. It's a very confusing terminology. So Grade, because people may think it's a lifetime, but per month. Some people may see this they'll be like, wait, per month, not per year, per month. You know what I'm saying? So for those who are not agencies, who are not service providers, the Grade Basic, I believe, is a great freaking deal. But also the Essential Bundle with Kadence is a great freaking deal. But here's the thing. This is the thing that I'm telling people, if you're on a budget but you want to use both, because I didn't even show you the sweetest part here, and I'm gonna show you that right now. What I've done is I've installed Kadence blocks on my Grade version, and I've installed Grade on my Kadence version. And this is great for people who, again, are on a budget, they want to use Kadence, but they also may want to use Grade, or they really do want to use Grade, and you only had so much to spend. You can start off by using the Grade plugin, the paid version, the basic, and then use the free version of Kadence blocks, just starting there. Now, depending on which direction you want to go, do you want to go in the full site editing direction or not? That's going to change whether or not you use the Kadence theme or the Grade theme. That's your choice. But at the core, you can use these together. And what makes it even sweeter, that I haven't really seen any other plugin do. So this is really some crazy stuff. This is where, when I was getting a demo from Thomas, shout out to Thomas, he showed me this. I was like, oh man, this was kind of what sealed the deal for me. Like, no, y'all didn't. No, he didn't.
What's wrong with you?
D. Bernard?
Yeah.
It's me. Homewrecker? He's with me.
What? I can't believe you just did that.
You are my stuff and you know it. Don't even try it.
Stop.
He's lying. Don't believe him, Bernard. Don't believe him. Oh, you did not say that last night when we was in bed together, girl.
You slept with him, you slut!
Bernard. Save your tears, honey. You never had a chance. Coffee's good with cream, but better when it's black.
I'm like, okay, cool. So now let's go to a new page here. I'm gonna add a new page. Now you can see I have Kadence, I have design library here. I have this here. I have patterns from grade on this side here still, but you're not gonna see patterns from grade because I'm using the Kadence theme. You're gonna see the normal patterns from WordPress. So just keep that in mind. You don't see grade patterns here just because I have the grade plugin. I'm using the Kadence theme, and that's why you see this. All right, so that's key right there too as well. However, what makes grade so special, and because it works really, really well with Gutenberg, they're looking to create and integrate with Gutenberg from all different sides, right? And they're doing it really, really well. But what you can do here is you can use, for instance, any Kadence block. So say I'm using an advanced button. Say I got an icon list. This is free. I'm using the free version. Say I got a row layout. I'm just throwing stuff on here, right? A progress bar. Boom, boom, boom. Let's open this up so we can get more space, more real estate. And because I have the Grade plugin, I have animation and animation. So this is crazy that Grade extends Kadence's functionality. It integrates with Kadence. That's so dope. So now I'm using the animation from Grade, but I'm also using the blocks from Kadence. You can't tell me that that's not sweet. And it does that in multiple ways. Again, here, add animation right there. That's one way. And then they have an advanced right here, more grade. Now remember, in order for us to get hiding controls, visibility controls for these, we had to be using the pro version of Kadence blocks. Now with grade, I know grade is only the pro version, but again, I'm using Kadence blocks in tandem with grade, and I'm getting more functionality out of this. Grade does that with even core blocks of WordPress. That's what I mean by they've been working to be fully integrated with WordPress core, but now they're integrating with something like Kadence blocks, other blocks as well too. So for instance, right here, these are grade right here. This is WordPress core. This right here is grade. Isn't that dope? I think it is, even from a styling perspective. This is grade right here. Dimensions, I believe this is WordPress core, if I'm not mistaken. But I can always check by turning grade off. And then we have dimensions. So like I said, you can see this is the core. But when you click advanced, you don't see those features anymore at all. That makes a big difference. If I click this progress bar, for example, this is Kadence now. This is WordPress core, this block, this is Kadence. I don't see those features anymore. So see how grade enhances animation. I have ease out. I have a few things here, but this is animation specific to the progress bar. You don't get animation like, you notice, there's no animation here, right? Kadence does not give you animation for free. You don't get any animation for free. Put it like that. And as you shouldn't. But if I turn back on grade, we would see we get animation, we get other enhancements. And like I mentioned, grade does that with WordPress core blocks. So grade enhances the core blocks of WordPress, adds more functionality, as well as add functionality to Kadence blocks. That to me is the best of both worlds right there. That's a sweet deal in my opinion. Again, if you're on a budget, and even if you're not on a budget, say you got money, you ain't even worried about money, and you still want to make a great decision, I get them both, to be honest. I get the grade basic, and I'd also get the Kadence Essentials bundle. But if you're on a budget, I would say get the basic here and use Kadence free right here. I mean, you can't lose. That's what I wanted to share with you all. I know this has been a long video, but you see, it's a lot of information, I think strategically, and I like to go where the puck is headed, not where the puck has been. And full site editing is a part of that experience, going where the puck is headed, using Gutenberg, using the WordPress editor. It's also a part of making a website more efficient, more lean, more accessible, because not all these page builders are thinking about those kind of things, those values. And I value accessibility. I value speed, load time. I do. I value user friendliness. And I also value being ahead of the curve, but also going in a direction where it's going to be a major adoption. I think that's big. You know, I don't have time to be trying to optimize all the time because I'm trying to add a whole bunch of fancy stuff. So it's just things for you guys to think about. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll be looking forward to seeing the comments. If you have any concerns or you got any anything, any comments that you want to share and show, man, put it in the comment section. Let's get the conversation started. I'm not sponsored by any company, but they didn't ask me to do this video. I am a user of both. I just started using Grade, just being transparent with that, but I'm in and I don't go in often. And I can tell you guys that from experience. I've been in with Kadence. Now I'm gonna get in with Grade, and I'm gonna use them the two because I'm not afraid, and we gonna make it do what it do. If things change, I'll update you. I'll let you know, hey guys, hey, things change, but I typically like to do my research and do my homework before I commit. That's what I'm continuing to do. I've been doing it, and I think Grade has a great team backing them. The same way that I trusted and believed in Kadence years ago, that they were gonna be who they are now. I believed that years ago, and they have become that. I believe Grade Suite is going to do the same thing. If you've enjoyed this video, man, don't forget to knock on that like button, knock that sucker out, and show some love by subscribing to the channel. My name is Maestro Stevens with Iconic Templates, and I'm out. Peace. See.